Hey YouTube, welcome back. So today I thought we'd take a look at how to spot manipulation, dark psychology on social media. So we're going to take a look at how you can spot if it's happening around you. So I'll jump straight into it. So I'm going to run through points to recognize instances that let you know that something is wrong, and you need to look for those instances, otherwise they will pass you by, okay? Because remember, you're trying to spot manipulation from typically a dark person, an emotional manipulator, or a narcissist. So you need to be looking for the signs. If you're not looking for the signs, then you won't necessarily see them. So initially, they will work on building up some familiarity, a commonality, and making a connection. Sorry about the lighting, the sun. It's the sun, blame the sun. So they'll work on familiarity, commonality, and making a connection, because collecting information is paramount. They may do this by bringing you into their group, welcoming you into their circle. So if you look on social media, especially in these micro communities, we do get welcomed into other groups or invited to join other groups. So they may do this by bringing you into their group using some flattery, compliments, lots of encouragement, kind words and such. So you're invited in, possibly believing this to be a new friendship, okay? But they'll be aware, meanwhile, they'll be aware of who you are and the power dynamics of the relationships that you're involved in, okay? Because that's what they pick up on. They notice those kinds of things. Whereas we look at people like healthy-minded people, we typically look at people and we don't look for darkness. We don't look to work out how that person's operating with this, that, and the other, and who you know, like, our minds just don't go there. So they're working on collecting the information, all right? So they're aware of the power dynamics of the relationships that you're involved in prior to inviting you in, okay? So on social media, like I just said, it would be who you roll with, who you support, and all that kind of thing, etc. So 2, to get control. So they invite you over, so you're joining forces. They're agreeing with your points, maybe excessively, okay? Making new friends on social media is often a subconscious or a conscious decision, okay? Because sometimes we don't even realize that we're creating friendships or relationships, but then other times consciously we're out there seeking relationships, all right? So how do you know if it's genuine or for other purposes? Sorry if I keep looking down, I have my notes as usual. All right, so be mindful of accepting suspicious invites, maybe to discords, you know, like out of the blue, private groups, because typically they're about collecting data, and the data will be used later. So they'll be asking questions and drinking in every word, and this is a problem with codependents, especially because they overshare, right? So for an emotional manipulator and a narcissist, they're going to love that, because you overshare, you tell them everything, okay? You give so much away. There's lots of information for them to collect about you to use later if necessary. So don't overshare, okay? Be guarded, okay? That would be my advice, to be more guarded. Don't overshare. Don't tell people all your backstory, your life story, all your hates, your loves, what's caused you pain, what makes you happy. Be mindful of the things that you're saying and describing, because they're calculating, okay? And they're always planning 6 steps ahead. So while you think you're just getting to know each other and it's like an innocent, natural, organic thing going on, they're collecting data. And in another video, I do talk about the art of reciprocity, okay? And how somebody doing something nice for us compels us to want to return the gesture, okay? It has us feel, so think about it. If you've ever received a gift off someone, or a compliment, or what else could you have got? I don't know, somebody's showing a lot of care and concern towards you, possibly, all right? When we, especially codependents, when we receive kindness, right? We have issues with kindness, okay? it especially for us, it makes us want to return the gesture and over return the gesture. Okay, so be careful about doing that. About feeling like you need to return the gesture to somebody. Like, be mindful of that. So where are we up to? Oh yeah, so in the other video I spoke about how the car salesman uses psychology to get us to buy the car. Okay, they'll bring down the price, they'll compliment you, they'll tell you all this kind of stuff, and like they'll word it like, you know what, I'll do you a favor, I'll knock you 500 quid off. Okay, and you're like, wow. So you feel like, oh my god, this person's going to do something nice for me, I need to return the gesture. And I mean, people do, after hearing that, right, go and sign and buy the car. Like, that's the power of the dark psychology and the art of reciprocity, because it compels you that you want to return the gesture. It's a really strong feeling, so be mindful. Dark psychology is used in a multitude of different areas: supermarkets, sales, marketing, etc. They pretend to be friendly, these type of emotional manipulators, while they're asking you questions. So be mindful of people asking you loads of questions. All right, by doing this, it gives them a read, right, on how you think and how you discern things, your weaknesses, your strengths, what you're sure of, what you're unsure of. And you'd be surprised by just a general, generic, boring type conversation how much stuff we do give away about ourselves to other people. So for me personally, I try to and do, I'm mindful of not doing that. Okay, I will share things that I've healed. All right, I don't go around on social media or anywhere sharing things that I know if they got twisted around and thrown back at me, for example, I know that they wouldn't affect me, because I've accepted that aspect of that truth that happened to me. And somebody else says something about it cruelly will not diminish that. It just won't diminish it. I just don't care. So, for example, if I was at a car supermarket, or I get stopped in the street by some person trying to get you to sign up to give to a charity every single month, right? Because we have a lot of them. I mean, they knock on your door and they have you at the door for like half an hour, going on and on and on and on, trying to get you to sign up. Okay, it doesn't work with me. I counter manipulate. Okay, so when they're asking questions, I will be purposely giving vague answers, so that they can't get a read. All right. By giving vague answers, people can't get a read. They're looking for your weaknesses and what areas that they should avoid. All right. So red flag, somebody asking too many questions and they're not giving you a chance to ask them questions, or I don't know, maybe you feel like it's an interrogation. Be mindful of how many questions people ask you and what they're asking you about. Predators seek to drown, like they kind of do it subconsciously. Some of them, the ultra elite, like high level, high IQ, like psychopathic narcissists with self-awareness, they're aware of it. But other predators and emotional manipulators, subconsciously, they work on drowning out our senses. All right, what do I mean by that? They overload you at the time with compliments, maybe with information, flattery, kind words, all kinds of things. They overload you. And if you've ever been in that situation where you've been receiving copious compliments, somebody's oozing lots of charm and lavishing it all over you, you can't process things. It drowns out your intuition. You can't tune in because of all these compliments and flattery going on. It's like kicking in the dopamine, lifting you up, making you feel great. So you can't tune into your intuition. Like, it blocks the signal, if you will. It's like it blocks the signal of what your intuition or your gut or your instinct, whatever you call it, whatever that's telling you, it gets drowned out by the charm, the charisma, and the kind words and the compliments. And maybe like if it was a sales type person or somebody at work, maybe they work on bombarding you with loads of information so you can't process what's going on. Okay, that's how it works. It drowns out your sixth sense. Yeah. So if you've ever been approached in the street by somebody wanting you to sign up, right? Or maybe a guy or a woman asking you on a date, you know, the types that are full of themselves, they won't leave you alone, they're quite jokey and jovial, and they just keep paying you compliments. Well, do you want to go for a drink? Let's go for a drink. I'll show you a good time. And they just keep on. And you can't get away from them. Very often, it's to drown out your intuition, okay? And they're being pushy to get you to say yes, okay? Because for me personally, they've got an ulterior motive. Healthy people don't make other people feel pushed into having to say yes, all right? So if you ever feel like you're being forced to say yes, red flag, avoid, get out of there. Yeah, so you can't, your brain can't process all the different things that you're going on and all the different feelings that you're feeling. Can't process them. You lose sight of your intuition, which you need. It's like your brain lags. It can't keep up with what's going on. And then we end up with confusion, all right? And confusion disarms us as well, because again, we can't read, we can't pick up on our intuition. We can't hear what it's telling us. We can't feel what we're feeling from there, because they're overloading us with compliments. They're kicking in the dopamine, the feel-good chemicals. We're having a high, right? So there's too many things all going on at once, okay? So maybe like in our community, we'll have somebody who's an intellectual bully, okay? Next point of spotting manipulation. Maybe there's an intellectual bully. They overtalk, talk over people, and dominate, okay? So they, in social settings, the manipulator or the narcissist, they often speak louder than everybody else, okay? Assuming that the louder they are, the more correct they are. To them, in their mind, and often to us listening, you know, we come to believe that they must possess a great knowledge. They're the type that don't let you get a word in. They may just drop odd prompts and expect you to just jump in and agree, but then again, they run away, take over, and lead the conversation. There is no way for you to get in, agree with them, disagree with them. They're very, very, very dominant. I think we've all met types like that. They're over talkers. They've zero self-awareness. They're impossible. They're quite hard work to deal with. They enjoy the superiority feeling that it brings them, being up there and showcasing themselves. Maybe you've experienced this at work or in meetings or in other social gatherings. A loud overtalker who dominates conversation. For them, they assume themselves to wield power over you. And we see it on panels around here. Right, so the next point of spotting manipulation, noticing miscommunication, okay? So communication often does occur between healthy adults, you know, like it's natural that we misunderstand each other, miss things, misinterpret things, okay? But the emotional manipulator will use calculated misinterpretation, totally different. They are pretending they don't understand what's being said, all right? So if you find yourself trying to explain things over and over and over again, there's another red flag that tells you that you're possibly dealing with an emotional manipulator or a narcissist. Okay, so often we do, you know, it's necessary that we go back and we clarify details or facts. But the narcissist, with the miscommunication, will switch the facts if it's you trying to correct them, all right? They will change details and they will use confusion to derail you mentally. They pretend it's you who is mistaken and they gaslight. They'll use gaslighting to alter our reality and have us feel crazy. It's crazy making. If you attempt to clear things up, this is what the narcissist or the emotional manipulator will do. They will pretend it's not that important and brush it away, right? You know, like, no, that doesn't even matter what you're talking about. Why are you bringing that up again? If that tactic is unsuccessful and say that you're still pressing them, okay, that they're wrong, they'll likely get angry and flip out, call names, use details that they've collected to attack you with, working on your weaknesses to cause you to doubt things. They may block you on social media and go on talking about you, telling untruths. This is a huge power play, all right? So if you notice that happening to you, There's your red flag that there's manipulation going on. There's dark psychology amongst you, okay? These things are simple, but these situations happen around us often a lot on social media, but we're not picking up on what that information is telling us because we keep going back and repeating keep doing the same things again. Instead of recognizing, do you know what? No, I'm not getting in a battle with somebody that's purposely misinterpreting what I'm saying. You know, I'm not getting involved with someone that is always over talking. We never seem to learn the lesson. That's what I notice around the DC. Right, so over talking allows them to take over and intimidate you by talking endlessly. Okay, they'll go on and on and on and on, and you will not be able to get a word in edgeways. So next point, emotional manipulators may present you with a sob story. So look out for the sob story. This is a sign, because a sob story puts us, the target, in at a huge psychological disadvantage, because when they present the sob story to us, in our minds we have to process this huge sob story, and typically we will feel bad for them, right? So there we are, we're feeling guilt, we've got feelings of feeling bad for them, sad for them, you know, oh my God, I can't believe this has happened to you. So they've put your mind frame, if you think about it, into that kind of thinking, right? You're feeling bad, you're feeling awful, lots of empathy, you're feeling all this empathy toward this person that's experienced this sob story that they've shared with you, right? So now you're at a psychological disadvantage because you've been put in position to feel bad, right? So again, you're going to miss red flags and you're going to miss manipulation, because in your mind you're busy feeling bad for this person and their sob story. So the sob story is used as a cover for the shady behavior. All right, so if you're around somebody and maybe they've been up to something and you're close to catching them or calling them out, right? Or maybe they feel that they're close to being called out, often they will present a huge sob story. And that's why, because it puts the targets, the people listening, in that mind frame. Instead of thinking rationally and logically, they're in their emotional brain feeling bad for somebody. All right, so they're going to miss things. They're at a disadvantage. So they will use the sob story to cover shady behavior. All right, so if there's a risk of the narcissist or emotional manipulator being caught out, maybe they will present a sob story to you. So be conscious of that happening. Like, ask questions, not necessarily to them, but within yourself. Why are they coming with this to me now? What happened before it? What's going on, right? What's the big picture? Like, ask questions to yourself and make sure you've got good answers. Like, don't just be led, right? You do the leading. The sob story catches us off guard and causes the brain to kind of stall because you're trying to process it, right? The narcissist has us in a catch-22 type situation, because if we were about to call them out or about to continue this argument, this issue we already had with them, and they present a sob story, what does it do, right? It changes the focus, changes the direction. You feel bad. You don't feel like you can carry on, probably carrying on this issue that you have with them, right? It just puts you in a catch-22 type situation, a double bind. There's no right answer. If you don't say anything, you don't get to clear it up and you don't get your answers. If you do say anything, you're going to probably get accused of being cruel because they've just come out with this sob story and you're being insistent on making them, I don't know, be accountable or show some responsibility for whatever issue it was that was ongoing at the time. So yeah, so pay attention to people toying with your empathy. Anytime you feel empathy, right? A lot of empathy towards something, like a person that's told you a story, right? Always be conscious that when you're feeling that empathy, just be cautious that you're not being manipulated and tricked, all right? And if there's a question of money around the thing that's tugging at your empathy, you know, it could be charity tugging at your empathy. It could be a sob story. It could be something about an animal, all right? Pay attention. Whenever there is lots of empathy, you're being presented with something cute, for example, right? and you're like, oh my God, that's so cute, that's so cute. Or somebody's doing something kind for charity, or someone's telling you a sob story like that, right? It puts you in your emotional brain. So if there's money combined, right, with that empathy play, the playing for empathy, pay attention, because very often it's a con. Okay, you're being manipulated. Because money, it's a business subject, should be healthy. We should keep it straight, no emotion. It's strictly business. Okay, once you start mixing business with sob stories, no, just no, avoid. Narcissists and emotional manipulators work on toying with your empathy because it keeps us stuck, it keeps us in a double bind. We don't think clearly while feeling bad, okay? So maybe this is another angle to look for. Emotional manipulators will use ultimatums, okay? So if you have somebody giving you ultimatums, if you don't like it, leave. They give you no room to question anything. Situations like that, it kind of like stalls your brain, and it has us feel powerless when somebody puts us in that type of position. The person who gives the ultimatum is able to gain control and submission, either on social media or in real life. It's not healthy. Okay, so next point to look for to see if you're possibly being emotionally manipulated: your insecurity will be used against you. Don't share your weaknesses with people you don't know well. They'll use covert psychological warfare, and the way they initiate this is by making fun of you, possibly, all right, or slighting you in a passive aggressive way, and they'll laugh to make it as though it's a joke, all right? So look for this tactic: people saying cruel things but saying it's a joke. There's another example that you're dealing with a narcissist or emotional manipulator. And remember, okay, even our jokes, the jokes that we find funny, all right, the favorite quotes that we love, whether they're by, I don't know, Martin Luther King or famous presidents, philosophers, whomever, whatever we throw out of our mouths, very often, most of it, all of it, in fact, I'd say all of it, right? It's all a projection of who you are on the inside. So cruel jokes, right? The person feels that and thinks it, all right? When they're saying it, it isn't just a joke, okay? It's from them. It's their own projection, all right? There's truth in it. So even though that they're saying it's a joke, right? It's not a joke. They're using a passive-aggressive, sneaky, calculated way to say what they want to say, but then they want to shift any accountability from what they've said, the joke, right? Well, it becomes a joke. So they say, oh, it's just a joke. Why are you so upset? Can't you take a joke? So if you're dealing with somebody that's often saying to you, can't you take a joke? You're too uptight. I was only joking. Why do you have to be so serious all the time? You're too sensitive. You need to get thicker skin. There's your other sign that you're dealing with an emotional manipulator or a narcissist. So they'll insult you, but say it's a joke. And this is a great way to spot emotional manipulators on social media. It's always a joke, because often they lack the courage to say what they're thinking maturely, all right? They hide behind jokes, and they gain a sense of power doing this, but it's all torment, all right? It's just a way to torment an individual and shift any blame, the blame shifting, all right? So don't, if you're dealing with that in real life or on social media, red flag it, okay? They'll often be known for saying, you can't take a joke, and you'll likely be mocked and mimicked because of your reaction to their words, all right? So if any of that sounds familiar, you know what you're dealing with. Again, they want the submission and they want to dominate and ascertain their sense of power. That's what it's about. It's about shifting power dynamics, okay? And remember, they're always thinking 6 steps ahead. So to you, it might not make sense, right? Like when people say, but why would they lie? I don't understand, why would they lie? They have no reason to lie. Understand, emotional manipulators narcissists, cluster B type personalities, lying is part of their DNA, all right? If you were to say to a narcissist, did you have a Mars bar or a Snickers, right? And they had a Mars bar, they would lie to you and tell you that they had the Snickers, right? If you asked them what they had for breakfast even, right, they would lie about what they had for breakfast. It's not about why would they lie. They have no reason to lie, right? They lie constantly, consistently about anything and everything, all right? People don't need a reason to lie. Sometimes it's who they are. And I think a lot of people are very naive and need to realize that fact if they want to stop being manipulated and treated terribly and being duped by people as well, okay? So yeah, so it's to ascertain their sense of power and control over you. It's like posturing type behavior, so look out for that, all right? They'll make you feel inadequate. It is a direct assault on your self-worth. They don't ever use constructive criticism, so pay attention. If you have a friend or somebody you know in your circle that is doing that to you, right, and they never maturely come to you and give you constructive criticism about your behavior, red flag, emotional manipulator or possible narcissist ahead, all right? Healthy people don't do these things. These are specific signs to look out for to spot manipulation. If you notice any of these signs are happening to you, all right, and if there's a cluster of them, maybe a few of them, then you are dealing with an emotional manipulator. Healthy people don't do these things. And I think people want some like great big cool sneaky way to be able to spot narcissists, psychopaths and sociopaths. It's all in the behavior and their patterns of speech, all right? They tell on themselves. These kinds of things happening, and especially repeatedly, they're your clear signs of what you're dealing with. So then it's up to you, right, to get out of the way because it isn't an authentic, genuine relationship, or continue, but you will continue to be treated like this. They don't get better, they don't change, and they do get worse with age. Right, next thing to look out for, ghosting. If you're being ghosted, right, often you'll be picked up when it's convenient and dropped when it's not. And you will feel like they only come to you when they want or need something, or they have nothing else going on, all right? You'll just be a pickup friend, okay? They pick you up when they want you and put you down when they don't. There'll be no ongoing, like how a natural friendship flows, okay? There'll be none of that checking in or whatever. It's just a case of pick you up and put you down. Argue, fight, get back together as friends, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and then there's another period of ghosting. The ghosting will be regular. They work on withholding, okay, narcissists and emotional manipulators. So the ghosting, all right, they take away what you've got used to. So it's a friendship or a relationship that you've become dependent on, rely on, or enjoy, okay? The ghosting, they take themselves away, removing the thing that you're fond of. So they're withholding it, right? And if it is a partner, it'll be you'll get the silent treatment. If you live with them, they'll withhold sex, affection, conversation, you name it, they will withhold it, all right? And if it's online, again, they'll make themselves unavailable, ignore you, ignore your attempts to talk. Any attempt you make, it will go unnoticed and they will not respond. By ignoring the texts and calls, it works psychologically to cause self-doubt within the target, all right? So pay attention to someone trying to embed themselves into your life initially, all right? So while the ghosting is going on, you may be familiar with any of these symptoms. You'll be going back over things in your mind, wondering what you did wrong. You'll be ruminating. You'll be trying to record the last things you said or how you said it. Did you word it wrong? It's crazy making behavior. It drives you nuts, that ghosting. It's abusive, all right? And it's coercive control as well. It's all crazy making behavior that the narcissist or emotional manipulator is purposely inducing onto you, all right? There's no accident, right? The next point, narcissists or avid pretenders. All right, they are great pretenders. Okay, that song Pretenders, it's about the narcissist. They will pretend or avid pretenders. All right, they are great pretenders. Okay, that song Pretenders, it's about the narcissist. They will pretend they don't understand the logistics of respect, loyalty, compromise, all things adults are unaware of. They will pretend they're not getting what you're saying. They don't understand what you're trying to get at. All right. If you live with one, they'll do, say for example, you've asked them to do something, so they're washing up, right? They'll do a bad job of it. If you've asked them to put the washing machine on, they'll be sure to do a bad job of it. I don't know, what do you press? I don't know what you do. Da, 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 da. So they'll do all these things to work on building up your frustration and your annoyance. They'll do anything that, if you've asked them to do something, it will be done badly on purpose, so you have to do it, redo it, and then in the end you don't even bother asking them to do it, so you just do everything. Okay, it's a sign: emotional manipulator, a narcissist, or the pretending. There's lots of pretending. I mean, they don't understand how respect works, loyalty, love, affection. That suddenly they'll just be so confused, and they don't know what you're talking about. They've no idea. They work on exhausting you mentally to the point you do it instead and blow up. All right, it's a tactic that allows them to blame shift. They get out of taking any accountability or any responsibility by the pretending, right? So they might pretend to we're pretending to misunderstand you, but by doing that, it gets them out of taking any responsibility and any accountability. Total blame shifting behavior. They'll pretend when they are presented with complaints about their behavior. Okay, so they'll pretend they don't get it. You again will likely feel stressed and confused and frustrated. You just can't, they're impossible to get through to. If you've experienced that, you'll know about it. It'll drive you insane. So another sign to look out for: someone that's highly defensive. Okay, emotional manipulators and narcissists are known for being highly defensive, very defensive. All right, so if you know someone that plays victim a lot, they're always defensive, red flag. Okay, so if you present a narcissist or emotional manipulator with issues, any issues that you may have, all the things you say that they did, they will twist. This is your other sign. They will twist and turn and throw all of it back at you. Instead of you being the victim of the scenario, of the situation, the thing that's happened, they will be the victim. Okay, and any bad behavior that you're claiming they did, all right, they will claim you did it. All right, so if you're saying, you know, you did this and you did that and you hit me, you're a narcissist, they'll twist it all around and say, no, you did that, you did this, you did that, and it's you that's the narcissist. It's you. All right, it's you. Anything you say, anything legitimate you say about them, they will twist it back and throw it back at you. People will believe them. It's crazy. So they will again switch the truth and facts and attack you, calling you crazy, a narcissist, a manipulator, a gaslighter, a liar. All right, so look out of this. Instead of you being the victim, which you would be, they make themselves the victim. So look out for that behavior. They're all blame shifting examples. They won't have a conversation with you. So this is again how you'll know. When you go to someone and try to have a conversation with them about their behavior, if they're doing these types of things, they're being highly defensive with you, they're playing victim, they're bringing other things into it, the things that you're trying to talk to them about and, you know, fix and work through, they will use those things and say, you did them, it's you, right? It's your fault. So look out at this. This is a specific sign of an emotional manipulator or a narcissist that you're dealing with. Where are we up to? Yeah, that's where I finished. So that you won't get a conversation. So notice that you will not get a conversation. You will not get it. Okay, it'll just be verbal attacks, verbal assaults, lies, accusations, blame shifting, crazy making behavior. So look out for that when you go to talk to people, how they react to you, because that's what you're looking for. Either a huge attack or someone who is prepared to hear you and converse, or somebody using accusations to muddy your representation, to muddy your reputation, should I say, sorry. So is the person able to hear you and converse with you back and forth, right? Or are they trying to muddy your reputation, telling, everybody that you're crazy, your circle, whether it's in real life or on social media, saying that you're crazy, that you're nuts, and accusing you of doing all kinds of whack things? Pay attention to that, because that's your sign, okay? It's a clear sign. Is this person able to talk with you or not? Because if a healthy person didn't want to converse with you, it's simple. They would just say, I'm not having this discussion with you. For me, it's just over and done with. Don't wish to talk about it anymore. And they'll go about on the way. But a narcissist or an emotional manipulator, there'll be a huge display of accusations, name calling, switching the facts, switching the truths, making the whole thing some crazy out of this world situation. All right. It will kick off. So narcissists and emotional manipulators are highly, extremely, acutely, and outrageously defensive. So pay attention to that kind of defensive personality. Look out for that behavior. Healthy human beings typically aren't aggressively defensive all the time or anytime they're approached. We tend to be more balanced. Nearly done now, okay? Last couple of minutes. Healthy adults will not consistently avoid talking with you, or when we're having issues with other people, generally most healthy human beings have no problem taking a piece of the self-responsibility. Like say if I had an issue with somebody and I'm saying that they've done something, right? I would have to take responsibility in some part of that, right? So usually healthy adults don't mind taking their part of it. They just don't mind. Narcissists and emotional manipulators do, because they're trying to get away from taking any responsibility or accountability. Because if the narcissist was to take accountability or take self-responsibility, the feelings of shame would engulf them and they'd flipping self-implode. That can never happen. So they're never going to do it. They might feign doing it, fake it, right? Pretend, but they're never going to take any accountability or responsibility ever. Never. So if you have the dynamic of somebody repeatedly blaming the other party, keep boundaries. Because again, typically healthy adults will not shy away consistently of taking some part of self-responsibility for whatever the issue may be. All right. None of us mind taking some partial responsibility usually. Okay. By the time you realize you're maybe dealing with a narcissist or emotional manipulator, like if you've gone through all these and you've noticed these behaviors in somebody close or around or within your circle, they'll likely at that point, by the time you realize what you're dealing with, they will have some kind of hold over you. All right. It's how it goes. They get their information at the beginning and throughout. That's what they're constantly doing. Reading you, your weaknesses, your strengths, all of that. They're always gathering information, who you hang with, who you don't, all kinds, things that you can't even dream up. All right. So they'll likely hold something over you, be it a parent, sibling, maybe at work or socially, or even on social media. It's hard to escape or back off. But if you have someone in your circle and you do want to back off, you've noticed lots of toxic behavior and you want to go away quietly, which I recommend you try and do. Don't make a lot of noise. Don't be like waving and shouting, yeah, you're a narcissist, you're an emotional manipulator, I know what you've been doing, da 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 da. If you want to get away quietly, all right, which I would advise, because you can't beat them any other way, I would go grey rock. All right, I would slowly I would back away slowly, become less available when talking. Tell them all your problems, be flat, dull and boring. You want to become the grey rock. So when they message you or call you, okay, be less available. When you're on the phone, talk a lot about your problems, all right? Keep talking over and over and over about your problems, how depressed you are, how fed up you are, how things aren't going well, how you just, everything's so bad, no motivation, of no enthusiasm, right? narcissist or emotional manipulator, I tell you what, they will run from you themselves. All right, they don't want to hear about your problems, they don't want to hear all about you, they don't want to listen or console you or anything. All right, they will run. So if they keep coming to you and they keep getting that kind of a response, they're not getting no supply, no fuel, right? They're not getting anything because you're just going on about being boring. You're not saying how great they are, complimenting them, asking them questions about their life. You're not doing any of that. Cut all that off, right? They will stop coming to you themselves because they'll realize, you know what, whenever I go over there, I don't get what I need from her, I don't get the outside validation. So they will work on going somewhere else. You get rid of them, they'll go and find another target. If it's a family member that you're dealing with, that you're noticing all these behaviors in, and you would like to back away, that's a whole different video, all right? Because I don't recommend anyone do grey rock if you are living with a narcissist or an emotional manipulator, because they know what you're doing and they will hurt you harder. Okay, so I don't recommend doing grey rock with somebody that you live with. Grey rock is specifically for more distant contact, seeing someone once a week or once a month that's a narcissist. Maybe it's your mother, okay, and you don't want to cut your mother off, so you see her once a week or once a month, right? But it's limited and you grey rock, all right? You don't let her get a reaction, you don't give her any emotional supply. It's a whole other video. So if you would like a video on how to not necessarily get away from, but how to manage a family member who may be a narcissist or emotional manipulator, just leave a comment below and I will do a video. There's a whole expanded video discussion that. Anyway, so here, these are your signs to look out for. If there's an emotional manipulator in your circle or a narcissist, all these are specific signs. Look for them. If they're present, run. Okay, don't look back, run. That's all for today. Love lots. Bye for now.